Hello, everybody. This is Dr. Swati, live from Los Angeles. I'm so sorry about last time. I think I may have pressed a wrong key. We suddenly got disconnected, and after that, I could not come back. Um, I had said a few things already, and those of you who wanted to get the links probably did get the two links I was talking about. But then we could not meditate together. Um, But I also hope you did do it on your own, and I hope certainly today we have an unbroken full session. This is the second to last session of this series, and as many of you already know, I'm going to offer a mindful self-compassion, a resilience training class called Ready for Everything, and that is going to begin in late January. And some of you have already enrolled for that class, and I'm really excited about this specific class. Is going to be a regular class with established practices, exercises, and is going to be based on Kristen Neff and Chris Germer's research. And in fact, they have a whole program of teaching these things, and I'm going to follow their program. So you are going to get a lot out of that experience. But meanwhile, we have today's session and next time session. So today's session, I would like to continue what I started talking about last time. And that was essentially, you can say, mindfulness at workplace, partly because we have a few of our participants whose quest was career oriented. They had started new projects, and the question was, how do I proceed with my goal of obviously achieving success in this new project? Or there was for some people, the question is, should I quit or not? For some people, that's not the question, but how do I go closer to my goal? How do I do problem solving? And for some people, it may be that they already have a job, but they would like to have a certain career goal in their job. So I would like to address those people, but at the same time, this is not just for people who have career goals, it's for general public also. And I'll tell you why, because mindfulness at workplace is becoming a more and more well-established area. And the reason it is relevant to all of us, even those who may be retired or even those who may not be working, even then it is still a relevant area, partly because some of the things that you need at today's workplace are the things that we need in our regular life too. For example, in today's workplace, it's not like just an assembly line type of work, or you work hard and you get things done. That's not the only thing. A lot of times, today's workers are knowledge workers. By that, this is the term that a lot of people use, and especially Jeremy Hunter, and I talked about him last time, and I'll talk about him a little bit more this time. Knowledge workers, because we at work tend to work with information and knowledge. That has become, in a lot of ways, our primary way to the way we work. And even in our regular life, that's how we work. We have to work with a lot of information. We have to sort out knowledge, and we have to make decisions at all times. Some of these decisions maybe, can I do the same job more effectively? Same thing that we have to do in life. And sometimes it is also about, how do I deal with this crisis situation today? At work, there are a lot of new crisis situations coming up. The third aspect in which the work has changed, and also so has life for a lot of us, is globalization. In today's workplace, a lot of times people have to work with, either in their workplace itself, with people with other cultures, but sometimes they may be working with people from other countries. And guess what? Our camp is also, in some sense, an example of that, that we are able to connect through technology with each other. Personally, for me, that is the most exciting part about doing this online camp, because I love the idea of communicating with people who come from different countries and different cultures, because it just shows certain things are just human to us. It's about human hand holding. And at workplace, the globalization may not always mean human hand holding in the sense I'm talking about, but it certainly means dealing with people and guessing what they may be thinking, or having a certain empathy and compassion. And in that sense, as you all know, mindfulness training is useful for all these things that I've talked about. I don't want to say how, because you all have heard about it so many times from me. So there is one thing that specifically is about workplace, which is something Jeremy Hunter talks about, and I'm going to share that particular link with you. I really like Jeremy Hunter's work. Jeremy Hunter teaches right in my backyard, a Claremont graduate school, Peter Drucker graduate school, and he has been teaching mindfulness related classes to the business school executives, for the executives who come to the business school, as well as he goes to businesses to teach these things. Now, isn't that wonderful? Now, one may think that to teach focus, concentration, and all these skills that come from mindfulness to the executives, that's really kind of, paradoxical, because that's not what original mindfulness was about. However, in my view, Buddha, the person who originated the idea of mindfulness, he did not exclude anybody. And in the beginning, it may have started because of spiritual quest, but at the same time, the main goal was to alleviate suffering. But beyond that, mindfulness does give a lot of other benefits, and some of them are directly useful in today's workplace. And in that sense, I'm so happy to see this being used in the workplace. For example, today's leadership. Yesteryear's leaders could be ruthless, could be narcissistic. They just had to make people work, and they did have to come up with creative ideas, but beyond that, they did not have to have what today's leader need to have. And that is also a very well established area, where today's leader need to have better emotional IQ, as in workplaces are becoming increasingly employee centered, as in how to motivate people, how to make them work, how to make your employees come up with creative ideas, also has become part of being a leader. So today's leader need to be more compassionate, more empathic in that sense. So there are two characteristics that set apart excellent leaders from good leaders, and those two characteristics are self-awareness and compassion. And when I say self-awareness and compassion, all of you must have thought, mindfulness training. So in that sense, it is important. And I'll tell you one other really important thing that I think is crucial in all this, which is basically when you are being mindful, it is hard to do something completely wrong, completely manipulative, or it is hard to be really bad, so-called bad to other people. Even if you may be narcissistic, but it will be much harder to do unethical or illegal things. And I like that part, because as we know, a lot of leaders do need that part. So how do you get things done? How do you become a leader and still do things in the right way, do things in the ethical way? And in today's world, in a lot of places, that's how it has become, or that's how it is becoming. And in that sense, mindfulness training at work is, I believe, will be such a good idea, right? Compassion, ethics, all these good things that we know. That's what makes our life worth living. It's not about manipulation of other people and situations. But it is, if you want to go anywhere in your own field, to do it the right way, that is the right way. And again, coming back to the people whose quest is to go somewhere in the career, I want to remind them of the slide that I showed, I believe at the last time or the time before that, summarizing how I am envisioning you moving towards your quest by using mindfulness. So if it is in the work environment that you want to use those tips, then just remember, anytime there is a crisis, you can use insights, you can use open awareness meditation to know what to do. Sometimes you have to know right away. There's no time to wait. And even in that case, hopefully by this mindfulness practice, you will develop the wisdom to know whatever you need to do. If, let's say, you make a mistake, it's okay, it's a self-compassion. But regardless, even when you are working hard and you need a break, you can use mindfulness. When you want to move with patience, there is a temptation to leave or to do something else, or there is a temptation to just kind of quit. But that is also the time when mindfulness teaches you how to sit through unpleasantness. So all these cool things that we have talked about, make use of those when you are moving towards your quest in your career as well. So before I show you Jeremy Hunter, before we meditate, I want to share Jeremy Hunter's thing with you. I'm first going to get rid of this. Okay, and then let me screen share with you guys. Okay. Okay, I think you guys can see it. Okay, so this is Jeremy Hunter's website. There is a tab called resources. So working with mindfulness webinar. Jeremy Hunter and Mirabai Bush. I told you about two people who do work with mindfulness at the workplace, Jeremy Hunter and Mirabai Bush. And guess what? In this case, in this particular webinar, it's both of them together. Mirabai Bush is the host. Mirabai Bush uh, is one of the people who, in the 70s, went to India and places like that. And after she came back, she spent like few years over there. After she came back, she started a business, and the business was making mandalas, just kind of hippie, late 70s kind of a business, making mandalas and messages and selling them. And she became immensely successful. And in the process of running a business, she actually employed her mindfulness training. And she had a happy group of employees, as you can imagine. And that's the thing about using mindfulness. You will have happy group of employees if you are a leader. And if you are at work yourself, then if you are using mindfulness, and if your boss is one of these tough ones, in fact, it will give you an ability to know how to deal with him. It's not just the patience, then you also may need some amount of compassion for the boss. So so I want to talk about this part. Okay, so this is the webinar that you may want to watch. Also, there is another thing, cultivating the executive mind. Is mindfulness the key to 24th century economic survival? That's an interesting question. So even to those who may not be actually directly looking for a career quest, this is still an interesting exercise, I think. And another way in which mindfulness is useful is how to manage change. And change is a constant thing in our lives, the only constant, like Jung said. And when it comes to managing any change, it's not always easy. And again, I come back to mindfulness because that's what we are talking about. Certain amount of non-attachment, or knowing that's the way life is. Radical acceptance of things helps. And when you radically accept things, that's the only time you can really make positive changes, even when the situation on hand may not be pleasant. You can make positive changes, but before that, if you accept the situation as that's the reality, it really is very helpful. Now, in this context, I want to talk to you about the compassion part. In fact, something happened. One of my friends, so to speak, or colleagues, you know, she has a daughter, and the daughter always constantly changing plans, what seems like constant changing. And the mother, my friend, is upset about it, that, you know, my daughter, we were supposed to drive for 4 hours to go to this place, and today she called and she said she just cannot do it, and she needs to get away right now, so she's going to drive now, and she cannot take me with her, and I'll have to go by myself after 3 days when they had originally planned it. So we did a compassion meditation, because it's, after all, her own child, and it is very upsetting. It's really hard to hold somebody in compassion, but it's possible that, I mean, regardless, whatever is going on with the daughter, it's not pleasant. So we thought about the fact that maybe whatever she's going through could be unpleasant. So it's easy to wish good luck to your own child, or offer best wishes that the pain be alleviated. That much you can do, in spite of, you know, feeling like disrespected or feeling not cared for, in spite of that. And somewhere in your heart, you can also get in touch with your own caring. So we did that work. And then that night she called me and she found out that, in fact, her daughter was dealing with a bout of depression, and she was in bed for 3 days. And that's partly why she couldn't go with her mother. But she did not tell this to her mother, partly because she had, you know, some relationship issues about, will the mother tell her friends, and will the mother keep confidentiality, and also how much the mother will worry. And so because of that, and once you understand certain patterns that we all may have, it's easier. Once you hold in compassion, it's easier to see the other person's side, and a lot of times that comes out to be true. See, we personalize things. When something comes to us and we don't like it, we tend to personalize it, but a lot of times it's not about just us, it's about the other person. And the reason I'm mentioning this particular example right now is because at work, when you have a tough boss, and there are times when it may seem like it's coming to you, or he's directing it to you, or he's being tough to you, or sometimes it may seem like he's like that to everybody, but even then it's unpleasant. But little bit of compassion can take you a long way. Then your attitude towards the boss and whatever you have to go through will be different. Not only that, be different, you're more friendly, more going towards the person. That attitude will help you to build better bridges. And that happens with colleagues also. So that's another way in which mindfulness can be used in your workplace. Any difficult relationship or situation can happen at workplace too. So you can see workplace and personal life in some sense is intertwined or is similar. But in fact, what happens what one thing that is different at workplace is, it maybe it's more stressful if you are worried about, like achieving certain goals, or not getting fired, or dealing with certain situations. Otherwise, you're afraid of, most of your life actually is work. But sometimes workplace makes it a little bit more trickier to deal with these situations. Okay, I think I have talked enough, and it's time for us to do our meditation. So I'm going to ask you guys to close your eyes. And since we are talking about workplace meditation, and since we workplace mindfulness or mindfulness to go more towards your career goal, and insights are very useful, let's do an insight oriented meditation today. So we are going to do an open awareness, open monitoring meditation. So close your eyes, keep your spinal cord straight, and take a few deep breaths. You breathe in and breathe out and pay attention to your breath. Bring yourself here and now, paying attention to the breath, to the central part of our life. And now, in your mind, just think about if there is any question you have, any contemplation. It could be work related or it could be life related. If you're trying to make any decision, if you're dealing with any difficult situation, just think about it. And if you don't, that's okay too. If you don't have a specific question in your mind, that's okay too. If you are dealing with a question, just think about that question and that's it. I'm not going to ask you to do anything specific with that question, but just think about that question. And that's the beginning point of your meditation. And now open up your mind. All the windows of your mind are open. Your mind is your attention, is sitting and opening all the windows. And where it is sitting, that question may be there. The question is sitting in the center of your mind. You open all the windows and notice what comes in. It may be a feeling, it may be a thought, it may be an image, or it may be some body sensation, awareness of a body sensation. Whatever comes in, just notice. And if it is a feeling, give it a name. If it is a thought, say it in your mind what the thought is. If it is a body sensation, notice the body sensation for a little bit. And if it is an image, Look at the image and notice any association that image may bring to you. And if your mind is not aware of what is coming in from the windows, once you become aware of it, bring it back to awareness, back to the center of this room with windows open, and notice what's coming in from all the windows. Whatever comes in, notice one thing from one window. Pay attention to that for some time, and then allow your mind to notice the next thing. Feeling, thought, image, or body sensation. And those of you who started with a question, at this point, just go back to the question and think about it. And once you look at the question, now again allow all the feelings, thoughts, whatever it is, to come in and notice them. Just notice if your mind is wandering around, bring it back to the center of this room with the open windows. Your mind is sitting here with a question. And just notice what comes in. In a gentle, relaxed way, notice what feeling or thoughts or an image or a body sensation. Bring your mind back to the center of this room and look at the question again and see if the nature of the question is the same or if it has changed. And then allow yourself to notice whatever grabs your attention, a feeling, a thought, an image, or a body sensation. And now, those of you who would like to continue exploring this question, the answer to this question in this form, please sit longer and pay attention to the feelings, thoughts, images, and body sensations for as long as you want. I need to go, but those of you who want to sit longer, please sit through this process of noticing and watching your own feelings. And I will see you guys next time.